So what's happening to future tech?
I don't know.
Um, Yesterday I got an email. It's a change from Scott, and it kind of says that there are not many mobile requests,
Oh,
so it might not be needed as a key.
that's news to me.
I don't know if I understood it wrong or he really mentioned it that way.
People don't want to use these, is that what you're saying?
Not apps, probably. That's what I think.
More like responsive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And or I rather understand it as in this way that there are more bigger problems than mobile app, getting a mobile
Okay.
app, which they are going through, which needs to be prioritized.
I understand.
Well, I know that the first two mobile apps they made had a lot of marketing.
Right.
The NEGA app got some great press.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if there is a purpose, that's fine. But
Yeah.
like, I think Andy had a meeting with a couple of students, and in that meeting, all they were speaking about are not related to it.
Yeah.
Because they have some bigger problems. So that
So let me wait for 5 minutes so that we can start.
I purposely don't use Facebook and Twitter apps on my phone. I use the responsive web page because the apps they request so many permissions.
exactly. I think if I understand that,
Location, pushback, push notifications.
Yes, and I have I rooted this and I put X privacy on here so I can intercept all those. You know, if you request my location, I'm going to send you false coordinates. You know, I'm in the middle of the Pacific Ocean or something like that. But even still.
Hello.
I'm paranoid.
You're super nerd. And paranoid. That's cool though.
It's a bad
Do
combination.
you have an Android?
yeah, people who want to get control of their phone never use apps.
Never use an app?
Apple. Never use iPhone.
It's fun. You know,
Yeah, it's not.
you buy a $600 device and in the first 24 hours you void the warranty.
Do we need to download anything for this, or is this just a watch?
Actually, if you want, people can download meanwhile the software which is needed, like Mongo and Node and Python 2.7. While installing Python, make sure that add the Python to your path folder because by default it will be disabled. So that Node.js automatically adds to you guys, and Mongo is automatically adds to the path. Mongo, no, it won't add to the path, but make sure that Python is added to the path because npm is going to use the Python.
Okay.
So what phone are you?
Sorry, what's that?
I play with this, but not with Mongo.
Nexus 6.
I use Node. It's great.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great architecture.
Um,
600.
if you buy it through AT&T or Verizon, it's the same thing. So 200. They subsidize it.
Ah, that's a good one. Probably I'll get it next time. I don't like Samsung because they put a lot of bloatware.
So what do you have?
I have Samsung, but I had Nexus 4.
I got an iPhone.
I just switched over to the Samsung. It's killing me. My battery's dead every day.
Install something called Battery Doctor that helps you
It'll help.
kill all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
current running
I
apps.
saw some documentary on it. Does it. I have a few plus few cows, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have milk, so I could just load up with E85. Let's see how
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, what do you drive?
A Ford F-150.
Oh,
Little
nice.
gas goes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ginormous.
I know that the F-150s, Ford is doing something pretty revolutionary there. Going to replace the chassis with aluminum.
This
And they
year.
had to, and they had to redo all their manufacturing plants to weld aluminum, which is very tricky to weld, and it's costing a ton. But they're hoping the market is out there for
Right.
strong trucks that are lightweight and fuel efficient.
Yeah, I'll probably buy one, but I'm gonna wait a year.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I got the one with the death door. It's like 2 doors, but you have it in the half.
Yeah.
My wife hates it, so I'm gonna get a 4 door next time. Probably one of those, but the aluminum body, I'm concerned about the insurance costs, and but the mileage is better, and you know, I always like it.
I heard it's going to be 800 to 1,000 pounds lighter.
Yeah, it's about that's what it is. Yeah.
It's a lot.
So can we start or?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
No, actually I was waiting for if anyone is going to join. It's okay. Let us start because we have only 1 hour time. So yeah, meantime, so everyone is hearing my voice.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah, that's great. Thank you. So actually today what I'm going to do is going to give a basic demo on Node, Mongo, Express, Gulf. So in this session, I'm just going to give you the brief description about those and why we need to use those. And I will compare with the existing Visual Studio and SQL with the Mongo and the Node. I mean IIS and the Node. And let us see and maybe in the next session I will give the elaborated details or information about each one like a Node, Mongo, Express, Gulp, like that. Yeah. So meantime, if you want to follow me, please install Node, Mongo, and the Python 2.7 on your machines. So yeah, Python 2.7. But when you're installing Python 2.7, make sure that added to the path is enabled on the installer.
Everyone hear that all right?
Sorry?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
All right, Charlestown, just getting in here. Hello, everyone.
Hi. Yeah. Meantime, please install the Node, Mongo, and Python into your machine. So I'm using Windows. So in case if it is a Windows 8, once you install Python, you have to restart the machine. Otherwise, it won't recognize on Windows 8. Okay. Actually, let me talk about what is Node. A node is a platform which allows us to write applications in a JavaScript, and this platform is going to communicate with the kernel using C language. So actually, if you are going to see in the node, it is like a completely new architecture. They are saying it is a non-blocking IO model. So when you are comparing with the IIS, it has a more advanced features and easy to scale and easy to install, and moreover it is a freeware. So let me compare with the IIS or with the legacy servers. I don't say legacy, but let me compare with the IIS and the other servers. Say actually how the IIS is going to work is all the IIS processors will be loaded into W3P processor, and each request will be handled by one thread, one main thread, and that main thread will distribute our request in case multiple many transactions. If you implemented a multi-threading, it will distribute all your transactions across multiple threads. Once all multiple threads are completed, then your main thread will be released and serve the response back to whoever is response back to the client. So then what is the problem here is, and before going to that, let me explain you what is multi-threading and what is multitasking. So multi-threading is a concept where you are executing the transaction on a multiple threads in a same processor. Say for example, your computer or your server have a multiple cores. Really, it is not going to utilize all the cores on the server because all the threads are going to going to work or like execute the transaction inside of a processor really we are not utilizing, because arithmetic logical unit will execute a transaction per second or like a per how much it configured on that machine, so that really we are not utilizing multi-threading the multi-core machines. Second thing, if you go for like a multitasking, the multitasking means we are going to distribute our request across many processors. So each processor will can utilize the multiple cores on the machine, so that which will be very fast. So that is the actually the basic difference between multitasking and the multi-threading. If you come back to the Node.js or like a ASP.NET IIS, so even your request is like a distributed across many threads, really your main thread will be sleep until all your child threads completes their transactions, so that that one thread will not be available until all the child threads are completing their execution to the next request. So actually, if you look at that way, it is like it has some kind of a drawback. So then how the Node.js is like a, I mean, written is it is using non-blocking IO model and is event driven. So let me give you like a basic example, like a Dunkin' Donuts or like a McDonald's. So if you are going to go to a McDonald's, a server will receive your request, acknowledge your request, and you put you on a screen, so that the other people is going to, I mean, process your request, and they will call you by your name or like your ID once it is done. That is called event callback or asynchronous way. So that the advantage of using asynchronous is it is going to free up the memory, so that threads will be available for multiple requests instead of serving into the single request. Same concept if I'm applying to the Node.js is going to use the same thing. A single thread is going to receive the request, and it will put into a pool called asynchronous pool, so that your request is completed or response is completed using a callback. It will call you back who are the requested for that. So which is going to use a JavaScript. That's why it is calling as non-blocking IO. And on top of that, the Node.js is going to use a JavaScript. That means, so it is going to provide us a platform to write a code with uniform language called JavaScript from client to the server. So, and Node.js is like a very lightweight. So any questions here? Or?
Uh, I have a question.
Yeah.
So what happened in this particular case? Say, for example, you had a deadlock on the database. How exactly would you then get those POSIX, the asynchronous threads? Would they have to wait for, say, a single thread having a deadlock on the database blocking the other threads? So how, like, how could you have non-blocking I/O if you had multiple transactions and a deadlock on the database?
Yeah, if any deadlock happens, we need to have some kind of a waiting mechanism, right? So we should not wait like for a long execution transaction. We should have a limit for executing a transaction, so that debugging, obviously it is little difficult when comparing to the other .NET applications, because there are like a built-in debuggers are there. But here we need to write the code in such a way that if suppose your transaction is executing long time, you need to like stop that thread and you need to return it back as some error. And then we need have to use some profilers and other way of debugging things. So then we have to identify where it is deadlocked, because since it is all like that is one of the problem with the freewares. So if you are going to buy a freeware, there you have to depend on like a multiple things in order to like implement in your execution or implement in your application. Okay.
Pool size and timeout.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. No, that answers the question. I mean, but then aren't you running the risk, especially if you have multiple threads doing similar jobs, doesn't that increase the odds of getting a deadlock on the database, because the odds would be that they would be reading and writing in similar tables and sections?
Yeah, first thing is why deadlock is going to happen if you are going to use like a proper writing transactions, and also deadlocks if in the same way as like in a SQL server, if you are using like a no logs mechanism and using proper logs or intended exclusive logs, then I don't think you will fall into a deadlock situation. If suppose you are falling into a deadlock situation, means we are writing code in somewhere else, like in a recursive or like a somewhere else. So we have to identify all those bottlenecks. So that's why we need to follow the standards before like a writing code or like implementing some software. So it all depends. So it is not nothing to do with the just node.js. Even IIS also will have the same situation. If suppose deadlocks happens or like a memory leaks happens, then we have to handle it in a proper way. That means we are not like a removing the objects from the memory, and we are not, and memory leaks will happen sometimes, and your memory will keep on increasing, and you will get like a out of memory issues and deadlock issues. So it is nothing to do with the node.js or like a IIS. It is all like a practices of the programming language which we are using. Maybe right now I'm just like a focusing on the just node.js. Okay.
Yep, no, that's fine.
Yep. Next thing is like a, and right now I'm using node.js with the Mongo, and also before going to the Mongo, let me explain what is the vertical scaling versus horizontal scaling. So vertical scaling is going to just talk about like a adding more resources to a system or a server. That means your server is slow, let us like add some more processor to it, or add like a more hard disk to more RAM to that, and let increase that. It may helpful up to certain level, but it is not like a well scalable mechanism. So actually, if you go with the SQL Server or like all these proprietary tools, if you want to do all these kind of things, that means you have to put more cost on it. So in order to buy a new servers and making using the replications and handling those things. So whereas horizontal scaling is, suppose your server is slow and it is not handling the request as expected, you can add like a one more cheap server to the LAN, and it can serve your request. That's where like these NoSQL databases came into the market. So because they need just like a hard disk or a computer with a small processor and a hard disk and with small RAM, so that you can horizontally scale well. So all these NoSQLs are came into the market based on those simple technique. So let me compare with the Mongo. So Mongo is a one of the NoSQL databases, and and when I'm going to compare with the SQL Server, the Mongo actually we are going to call as a database. Here actually Mongo actually is a document based management system. That means we are going to store all the data into a form of a documents. A document can have like a multiple references to other documents, or like a embedded documents inside of a document. It's all like a personal choice how we are designing our database. Say if you have like a single document embedded into a same document, then obviously it is going to increase the document size at one point of time, and it will slow down our process while reading or updating the data. So it's all depends. So even Mongo is also giving us like a locks and normalization techniques. So even though they are saying no schema, actually it is not no schema. It is a schema, but what that they mean is it is a dynamic schema, and same time they are providing a locking mechanism on dynamic schema, because you are working on a collaboration environment. If you are like a making more dynamic schema, if suppose some person is like a dropping a column or adding a column, still it allows us, but we need to have some kind of a locking mechanism on top of it, so that as a collaboratively we can develop. The beauty of the Mongo is we can dynamically create a documents, and in a collection is nothing but a table, and document is a kind of a row in a table. So the main thing is like it is not necessary to have all the properties in the documents in a collection will be the same. That means a document can have more properties, and a other document can have a less properties in a same collection. So it is not necessary to be there, but again there is a star mark. So if you want to do in a such a way using normalization techniques like that, we can do that. Otherwise, it is also okay because the most of the times Mongo will provide us like a more flexibility kind of a data warehousing concepts. Like a, if you are dumping the data into the MongoDB, you can generate out of it, and
One thing I just want to add to that is, for people that are very focused on relational databases, the mindset, it's a little bit difficult to change your mindset and think about non-relational DBs like Mongo, where duplication of data is okay.
Yeah.
Whereas in relational database, you want to do normalized, you didn't want to duplicate, you wanted to join, make joins.
Yeah, here acceptable because the hardwares are very cheap. So sorry.
So if I heard you correctly, each document in a collection does not have to have the same.
Same properties as other document.
That's the beauty.
It's beautiful.
So everything is just a basically an object.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is just an object. You are dumping an object into your collection, and it won't have much constraints. And if you are, and also writes are very fast because we don't have any relationship. So if you are updating some information, if you compare with SQL Server, you are updating a table, and if suppose it have multiple relations, it requires to update all the tables and joins together. Whereas in Mongo, you are updating a document, you are just updating a document. So updates are very fast and atomic. But still, if you want to like put like a relationship, still we can put a relationships there.
A meaningful relation always helps us in structuring the data, getting the data out. Putting the
Overall
data in.
maintenance wise, it will be easy.
Right. Should still have relations if required.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you don't need any relations, that it's not SQL at
It's just not
all.
required.
Exactly. Only when it is required is the clause.
The only one reason why they are calling as schemaless is they don't have constraints on the database. So that's why they are calling as schemaless, but it is not schemaless. It is a dynamic schema, you can generate it. And that is maybe that is also one reason. I don't know why they are calling as schemaless. So because we can dynamically generate this schema, we can maintain the information as required. At the same time, without schema, we cannot generate any documents.
Partly it is, I believe.
Oh,
advertised.
essentially, you mean that one collection can hold different documents?
Different documents.
The ID of another document could be stored in there, right?
Yeah.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so you could basically get that ID, go make another call to get that.
Yeah.
piece.
Exactly. And also the document can have many properties.
Right.
But we have to make sure that all relevant documents needs to be placed in one collection.
Right.
Say for example, I have a student table or a student's collection. I need to make sure that I am placing all student documents into student collection. It is not like a SQL server. So if I'm placing other information into the table, it is going to throw me like a referential integrity exception and like a integrity and normalization things. So that's why it is very dynamic and very easy and very scalable.
Provided you do proper logical structuring.
Do you have partition keys and primary keys?
We have like a primary key, it automatically generates by AI, and it also maintains the indexes. So you can create indexes on the properties or a multiple properties. It allows us to do many things, but depending upon how you are using it.
What about concurrency?
Concurrently, I haven't done any research on
Updates when
that.
it
Yeah.
eventually will update.
Actually, they are providing two things. One is update, one is save. Update is going to just update a one document, but in a concurrency situation, how it is locked? Yes, there is a lock. So we have to make a lock on a document, and you have to make a update, and you have to unlock it. So just like a SQL or like a Oracle, it is providing all types of locks: shared locks, exclusive locks, intended locks. So that means if you want to use effectively, you can use effectively. So if I want to use just like a dump the data there, I can use that. So there is no like a kind of a enforced things are there like a just like other relation databases. And it is very easy because it is a single structure of object and very clear because and it is almost equivalent to like a JSON object, so that which can be easily readable, so that mobile application, other applications, if you have like a Mongo type of a object, you are using a node, because node is like a more or a, you are writing a language JavaScript, so that JavaScript easily can understand the JavaScript array. So that's why both are like a tied together, and there are no complex joins. These are the advantages. So let me try to show how the Mongo is going to work, because it is very dynamic in nature. So if suppose you don't have any database or any server exists, you can create a database or a server on the fly, and you can create a collections on the fly.
Sorry, I sort of missed that. I had a question on the previous slide. Can I, is it too late? Or?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So basically, it seems to me that, I guess, starting from the top, like a collection is similar to an instance of, if you're looking at object-oriented programming, say. Nope, you were on the right one.
Okay. This is the right one?
No.
No, the last one.
No,
Okay.
that a collection would be sort of equal to a single instance of an object type.
That's correct.
So something like a person object would be equivalent to the person object in an object-oriented language. And then perhaps documents would be a dynamic array within an instance of that object. Does that sound
Actually,
about right? Or
I will compare with the not object-oriented concepts. I will compare with the MongoDB with the SQL Server. If you say take a table, so you can compare a collection with a table, not an object, because a table can contain a rows. So row is nothing but a document. So a table is a kind of a, if you are like going to represent a table is an array of. So a table is an array of tuples. So you can compare a array to the same thing. Documents are like a rows, and table is a rows is a rows, and you can compare collection with the table.
One of the things that I discovered to drive it home is, say you get a person and you get a list of addresses for that person. Well, on SQL Server, the addresses will be a separate table with a join of the person ID. However, in Mongo and NoSQL situation, the whole collection of addresses can be stored right in the same record.
Actually, in SQL Server also you can store it as a same
Right.
thing, but normalization, according to the normalization, say for example, a single person can have a multiple addresses. That time you cannot satisfy that condition there, then you have to duplicate the information. So SQL Server, that's why we are separating the addresses as a separate table, so that we can maintain like a multiple addresses in a table. You can associate the table to a single entity, and you can also, based on the type of address, you can get the corresponding address. So even Mongo has the same thing. So Mongo, you can maintain the same thing, or you can maintain as a different collection. You can refer that collection inside of another collection. Okay. So so any, did anyone install Mongo? Yeah, if you are installing Mongo, actually it is going to install on the C drive program files. Hmm.
Is it on your
Sorry,
D?
actually my computer is with the IT, so it's a virtual machine. I open different box. Let me open the command prompt. Once you install a Mongo, the Mongo will be installed on your like a program files. So Mongo is like a built based on the file system, so that it is going to provide is like a exe called like a Mongo server, which is called Mongo D. And once you run this mongo.d.exe, it is just like if I'm comparing with a SQL server, it is going to run a or like a make like a up the server and run on a certain processor. And when you are running a server, if I'm comparing with the SQL server, I need to have some kind of a location where I can maintain all my databases and a file system. Same way here in MongoD also. I mean, in Mongo also have to give you some location. Say db path. Let me so let me create a folder to store Mongo databases database and bin, sorry, data. So right now what I'm doing is I'm running the server and I'm giving the location where I'm going to store all my databases into the system. So the beauty of Mongo is, say for example your document is like a going large and huge, it automatically increases the size of your system, and as well as the same fail recovery, auto fail recovery is also there, built-in auto fail recovery is also there, and it will automatically replicas also if you are like a configured on a multiple servers. So I just started the Mongo server. Actually the thing is like in the real time, if suppose right now I enable this so that we can use as a Windows service, or if you are using a Linux or Unix, you can use other service to run like a all the time. So instead of like running directly from the command prompt, so right now I'm just directly running it. So right now my server is running on the port 27017, and let me connect it to the databases. Instead of going every time like this, we can add this Mongo to a path variable in the Windows so that we can directly type the command, but right now I didn't add that to path variables.
I wish Windows comes up with a tool. They're changing this in Windows 10. The command prompt is going to be kind of PowerShell, but they are upgrading.
So I'm just running a Mongo so that it is just like I'm connecting to a server. So my server is running on another port. I'm just right now connecting to a server. So just like in a SQL server, if you are like a SP help text or like that, so if you want to see the information, similar way if you want what are the databases in there, show DBs command. Right now by default it is added as a local to my system, so that if I want to create dynamically, so DB or sorry, if I want to use dynamically, if I'm showing a use command in order to like select which database I need to connect, here in Mongo we'll use a use command to connect to the database. So right now I have only local exist, but I'm creating like a university. right spelling?
Yeah, UNI.
Yeah. Hmm?
That's it. I don't think you need to use W quotes.
Yeah. So right now it automatically creates the database for me. So without writing any piece of code, just I connect it to the a database which doesn't exist. So the Mongo will look for that, and if suppose it doesn't exist, then it will automatically create. If it exists, you will connect to that existing database. So as I said, like we can directly create our uh, document we can insert so that will be added to a collection, or we can have like there will be a command called create collections. Say I'm creating a students. So it created a collection. So how will I see the what are the collections exist in my database? Is using like the same command like a show collections, so that it is going to show me what are the existing collections in the database. And at the same way, if I want to see the statistics, what are the indexes, there is a command called show stats. But right now I'm not going in depth in the Mongo. I'm just creating a collection and adding a data into that. So I have a collection, so I'm dynamically students insert. Here insert I can add like a dynamic documents, or in my case student is a document, so I'm going to we can add like a one document to the collection, or you can add multiple documents as an array of documents to a collection. That in other words I can add a collection to it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people know this that are on the phone and here anyways, but I just want to point it out. A document is really just a JSON object. That's what the term document means.
Yeah, similar to JSON, right? Oops. I'm just giving some random. So I inserted like a few documents into my collection. If suppose I want to see, I can use db students dot find. If you see this, so all the collection, I mean all the documents are created in the collection with a unique ID called underscore ID. So it is going to be the unique ID. In case if you want to use the references in the find, right now I'm not going to show all those things. So you can use the ref and the ID and the other things in order to like in your projections to get the data and more effectively. And you can create an index on top of it. And when you're editing, you can edit that. So similar way, you can use the update command if you want to like a use like update a certain document, and by passing the set value to that, so that it automatically updates. And if I want to like a completely replace a document with my new document, then save. There is a method called save. If you are using a save, then your complete document will be replaced with the new documents which you specified in the thing. So just I created these two collections. So this is all about the Mongo.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Yes.
So when you do an insert, does it have to be, it's actually a two-part question. When you do the insert, does it have to be a, excuse me, does it have to be a JSON string? And the second part is, if so, can you query a member of that JSON string as part of the main query?
Yes, you can do that. You can do that with the projections. So right now I'm not showing that here. So you can do that.
I think the question is, does it have to be JSON?
Could be any string.
It sometimes it needs to be JSON. If you are, no, it is not mandatory. If suppose if you want to find by ID, you don't need to be passed the JSON. It's all depends. Sorry. Actually, that is not a JSON. It looks like a JSON format that is called a format. I forgot that name. So that is different format. It is objected something format. So that which is same as JSON format. Okay. So if anyone install like a node, then I'm going to use the following things in my node to create a web API. Before going to talk the web API, let me talk about what is a RESTful service. So what is RESTful service? RESTful services stands for Representation State Transfer Protocol or service. Yeah, what does it mean is like whatever the request you are making to a server, all your information is included in your request, and based on your request your server is going to execute the request and serve the response, and also it is going to implement like a universal interface so that everyone can understand how to call a service. So universal interface means what that interface is like nothing but a HTTP interface. So HTTP interface is going to provide us like a common methods called create, update, put, delete. And actually in the RESTful environment, so we are going to call every entity as a resource. So resource is a entity, a real-time entity where you are going to perform the basic operations like getting the information about a resource and updating the information in the resource or insert a information in the resource using the HTTP commands get, patch, put, post, like that. Okay, so let me create like a simple API using the node. So node is, I already said like a node is like a platform where we can write a code in a JavaScript and which uses a C language to communicate with the kernel. And Express is like a kind of a framework, just like a .NET framework, and which is going to we use the node to provide us like a common methods and common utilities and common functions, just like a framework. So I'm going to use the Express. So what I have to do is first I have to install the node. So after installing the node, so let me open the command prompt. Oh, okay.
And just to answer that question, it uses a format called BSON,
BSON, yeah,
which is binary JSON.
Binary JSON. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let me just like a standard or like a it depends like a let me create a folder where I can maintain all my applications. So my application is name is going to be, say for example, like a web API is, I don't know the right name or not. So I created web API and cd, and under web APIs I'm going to create a API. So actually Node is going to use like a Node package manager in order to install the dependencies or in order to install the packages from the server. Which is nothing but just like a in Visual Studio we have like a package manager which is like a similar to that. So with the npm is the command for Node package manager, and what I'm going to say, if I have to install like a first application in my node, I have to say node.int. Hmm? Is there any spelling mistake? No. Sorry. Where is that? Okay. Let me go back. Let me create md. Give me web APIs. cd web APIs. So I created a web APIs. I'm going to create an application just like in Visual Studio. How we are going to create a new application in Node, we are going to use npm and you will say ni int. So it is going to ask us like a couple of questions, and so it is asking us to what is the application name you are creating for. So I can say students API. Sorry, it won't allow me to create like a caps letters.
Sounds like Unix.
Oh my god. Students API. And version is optional, description is optional, and entry point for every application we need to have an entry point so that if it is all optional. So I'm clicking enter, and so actually since it is like a freeware, it is going to reduce the cost for the organization. So just we need to have all freewares like a Notepad++ and Node and Mongo, so that no need to be maintain any commercialized softwares. So so let me go there. So it is Mongo, it is web API. So here it is created a package for me. So if you're going to see the package, so all the dependencies will be stored here. Say in case if you want to like just like a Visual Studio, you suppose in Visual Studio also if you it creates a package file, so that if you want to like a give the dependencies, you don't need to supply all the DLLs or other information. Just we have to give the package manager package object file, so that once other developer get the package class, and once again he will initialize it, and he will get all dependencies downloaded from the corresponding package server. So next I need to have like a express, so that express is like a my framework for my node.js. So I need to install express. So npm install express minus minus save. So minus minus save, what it does is like it is going to add a entries to my package file, so that if I want to share this file to some other persons or some other team, So just simply I will add that. If I'm not giving save, it temporarily saves into that for that session and it will be removed after that session. So let me use as save. So actually, it. If you see this, my dependency express has been added to my file. So let me create a .js file. Actually, if you are like a Visual Studio developer, there is a plugin for Node.js. Once you install that plugin in Visual Studio itself, directly you can create like a Node applications and JavaScripts. Once you right click on that and it will open a command prompts in case if you want to like manage it in a different way. So let me go there, my API. Let me use my studio. Otherwise, let me create it on myself. See, web API. No, sorry. API. This is the one I created. Okay. So I created app.js, which is a JavaScript file. So let me go and check it there. So what I'm going to do is I already installed Express. So actually Node is going to use like a another thing called require.js. So it is already integrated with that so that we don't need to separately install require.js, just like a backbone and other applications we used to install separately and we need to create a configuration file. But with the node.js is very seamless. Just we have to say require. So it is going to use Express. Create time is there.
5 minutes.
Oh,
Not happy.
so Okay. Maybe then today I'm going to just show you like how to run the node. Maybe next time I will show you how to connect to the Mongo. Environment. So the get slash actually the callback function is going to use just like a request and response. It is going to two parameters, rec and resp. So resp dot send welcome to node increasing app dot listen port function sorry is log So here what I'm doing is I'm getting the dependency using the require.js, and the express what I'm going to do is I'm initializing that, which is going to create a application instance for my node application. And with the application instance I can say what are my get method and what is the post, what is the put, like that. And next thing I'm going to say that my application is going to listen from this port, so that which is very seamless, so that we don't need to maintain any separate server for this, so we can directly install or run the app based on the port available. So let me save this. Node app.js. Some error code is R. So it is very simple. So right now my web application is running on port 3000. So if I go to the server, localhost 3000 slash. So within a seconds I can create a web application and I can connect to the database. So which is very fast and accurate. The thing is since it is a freeware, we need to maintain many dependencies, and that maintenance headache will be always there if you are compromising with the cost, and maintenance will come into the picture. But
Hi.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. If you wanted to debug on the server, can you demonstrate how you'd go about doing that?
Next time I will show you that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, still I don't have time to connect to the Mongo, so it is scheduled for only 1 hour. Next time I will show you that how to debug the code and how to handle the errors and how to connect to the server.
Cool.
Actually,
Sounds great.
debugging is like a good thing to know because that is very critical for us as a developers. Definitely, I will show you that next time.
Thank you.
Yep. And so I already mentioned there is a gulp. What is the gulp use is like a, say for example, my node is running on this. If I'm changing some text or something here, I need to restart my server manually. I need to stop it and restart the server. So gulp is nothing but like it is a kind of a monitoring tool. It is going to monitor your file system. In case of any changes in your file system, it is automatically restarts based on the configuration. In the gulp, you are going to use like called a gulp nodemon, which is a module available for the gulp. The nodemon, what it is going to, it is will have like a configuration which script file needs to be look for and which folder needs to be look for, and what is the command need to be execute and what is the environment needs to be there. So these are like a very straightforward. Maybe next time I can show you that with the gulp and things like that. So we are.
So in this environment, how easy would it be to then make a query to the Mongo database from the inline code on the response?
Yeah, actually, it is very easy because we are going to use the Mongoose. Mongoose is like a kind of a ORM framework, object management or something. I forgot it. It is a ORM tool, so that just like entity framework in Visual Studio. So you will just have to specify HTTP where your MongoDB is localhost and MongoDB API name, and you will use the module name, and you can connect to that. And if suppose it doesn't exist, it automatically creates that. I can show you that next time.
It's 8 to 10 lines of code in addition.
Okay.
So basically, you don't need a web server anymore.
We don't need any web server anymore. It is a simple concept. Web browser is running on a processor and web server is running on a processor. Then why need like this kind of a distinguish? Maybe that idea they implemented that.
It's agnostic.
Does it have the ability to do any type of load balancing?
Definitely yes, because whatever you are doing is like just you are like enabling or running a server. The load balancing is on top of it, right? So irrespective of whatever you are using, you have to specify the location. Just like, okay, this is my servers, so I need to manage. Maybe just like in a F5 you will have a configuration, so that there you can specify these are the servers, they are running on these processors, these are my configurations, this is my round robin algorithm, or like a sticky sessions, or it depends. Like it is just a web server without using any like a IaaS or like a things like that. You are just running on a web server and a processor. So nothing to do with the load balancing. If you want to build a load balancer, definitely you can use it.
Okay.
Things like rollback and commit, you know.
In terms of what?
Sorry?
In terms of what?
Well, the need to roll back if you're doing some
Transaction process.
Rollback in the sense like it is going to be the database side, right? So Mongo has like a rollback. So if it is server rollback means it is all like how you are going to deploy it. If you are going to use Octopus or same thing like that, you can directly deploy to the servers and you can roll back the previous versions. So that's why I'm asking like which rollback you are specifically.
In your code, you know, certain things need to happen. If they don't happen, or if there's some kind of exception, you know, you fall through and then you roll back.
Oh, okay. Rollbacking is we have to look for moreover in the Mongo. Just like if you're committing transaction and rollbacking transaction, maybe you're looking for a yes. Yeah, we have to look for in a Mongo. Maybe next time I can show you that.
But there's a similar convention available.
Should be, because I haven't looked into that, because the Mongo itself they are saying is they don't have like a proper transactions or proper constraints on their system. So that's why they're very dynamic.
You know, we already in-house, we already have SQL, we already have Oracle, we have.
Those are proprietary tools. So if you want to use the same way, then you have to put more money and you have to put more machines, more processors. So whereas the NoSQL databases, those are not proprietary. So if you want to add a machine and just download the thing and add like a server, just connect to them.
But is there a special, I guess the question I'm getting to, is there a specific type of usage that just lends itself better to?
Because nowadays because of the internet, so the data is growing every day by day. It's all depends how much data you are getting it. There are like three factors which drives you to go for like a big data to regular databases. Those are like a variety, velocity, and volume. The variety means what type of data you are getting into your system, and velocity means how much velocity of information will be hitting into your system, and volume is how big of your data. So based on these three factors, we have to decide to go for a big data or go for a regular transaction. So it is kind of an analysis we have to do before going to do the certain things. It is not just like, okay, I have freeware, just I have to implement like that. It is a kind of analysis based on those three driving factors.
So for Mongo, is it possible to put any constraints on what the document values are? For example, I mean, obviously in SQL Server you can create an index that, for example, wouldn't allow you to put in
Yeah, actually here you can put a indexes, but they don't have like a strict conditions, strict constraints. That means, say for example, you have a referential integrity, you are deleting like a records in a child table or like a without parent, then SQL Server or like Oracle will throw you exception saying that referential integrity because your child records will be orphan. We don't have that kind of thing in a I mean, NoSQL databases. That is one of the thing the people they want to implement because they don't need much constraints on that. So it depends. So that's why we need to decide what kind of database we are designing, what purpose and where to use it. If you are like a high transactional or like a banking systems, then maybe we need to look for decide the factors. Need to decide if to go for Mongo or Mongo also. What are the things we need to be put in a place so that we can handle all those constraints and the transactions, rollbacks, things. But as far I know, there are like a logs and indexes are there. Okay. So actually, let me know if you have any questions through email so that I can respond. So actually, we are already running for a time, so that maybe next time I can take only Mongo or only Node. I can show you like in depth, so how to handle or tackle the things. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.